Recording. Hello, my name's Casey. Casey Kua on Instagram and on YouTube. Probably gonna upload this on both so people have a reference on how to do photo editing, like you see here. I already noticed a mistake down here in the lower right corner, and this whole little beam right here, which I'm probably gonna just like crop out in the Instagram. So what I'm gonna show you guys is how to do this from this. A lot of it has to do with matching lighting. Matching lighting is almost it's absolutely important. If you can't match lighting, then don't even bother, because your stuff is gonna look janky as hell. And god damn it, that better not be in the finished product. Hold on. Okay, I just noticed mistakes on my stuff as I go. So what I did here is I found this and I placed the lighting right behind her, so her head is actually the area that's being affected by the light, and the back of her. So you can see all this key lighting in the back of her, and right here on her butt and her legs and her scarf one right there. So we need to match that. The only way we can match that, well, first of all, there's a scene in One Punch Man where Speed of Sonic is in the forest. So I went to Google and looked at forest. Found a lot of cool things. And I always end up altering it and editing it so it isn't per se stealing, because if you alter something and edit it to the point where it's unrecognizable, then it kind of isn't the same photo at all. It's kind of like what remix songs are and stuff like that. So right now, what I'm looking for is a sunbeam picture, like in that one. Like this one would work, but it's too high. It has a sunbeam, but it's too high. This one is too far away and there's no sunbeam, which I could make that work, but I'm not going to, because that would take a lot of more key lighting stuff. What is this? Dark forest. Let's try that. This one would work, but it's too small. You always want to go over here, size large, and then look up something that has a sunbeam. Where? I found it the last time. Where is it this time? Whatever. Ta-da, we found it. It's this one right here. Bam. So this thing, grabbed it from Google Images, and we're gonna alter it so that it doesn't no longer be recognizable. And what I did for this one is I always do this every time I cut somebody out. I'll make a layer on top of that background, change the color to what the if my thing would just hurry up. There we go. Color picker. Always going to choose green, or really light green. That way I can see everything in the background that gets cut out. So I just filled it in. You didn't see it. It's because it's behind the background copy. And then there are two ways to do this. You can either do it by hand, which, like this, is actually, I like it a little bit more because it gives me a little bit more control. And I can actually select and choose which areas that I want to keep. So we're just going to show you that real quick. Oh yeah, these scarves, sorry. I forgot these scarves are like edited in. I need to remove those real quick. I memorized where her scarves actually were, so there's that. Remove these two right there. And then we're just going to cut them off right here. Delete. Yes, my computer's slow, I know. Whatever. Yeah, as long as the end result's fine, I don't give a snap. Oh, wrong one. Control Shift I, then delete. Yep, because Casey is a genius. Why did I... It looks like she has like a giant schlong now. Okay. Now we can go in, start deleting some of the stuff that we don't need more finely. More, I guess. More precisely, I guess. There you go. I'm gonna do it just a really rough. Because really rough does work sometimes. Unless she says stop. but that's a different thing. Really rough. Just around right here. Now this is good right here because we're going to actually use a tool called the background removal tool. It's actually part of the eraser options, and it's actually really good for this. Actually, I'm going to show you that now because that stuff actually gets really tedious, like really tedious. So normally you just go right here. Either you can press Alt and click on the eraser, and then it'll change it for you, or you could just click it down, and then it'll actually bring up the drop menu of everything that you can use. So I'm gonna go ahead, start attacking the gray areas, and it'll the tool will actually, wow, that is really stark. The tool will actually take away anything that's gray in that area, which is what we want. That's fine. So I'm gonna make this smaller. I always try to make my brushes as big as possible and not as small as possible. So it's something that I've done. So right there, just getting rid of all the grays. We have some pieces of hair that like are getting caught in it. So I usually just go back and reconstitute them. What the hell? Stop it. What you do? Oh yeah, always keep in mind of where that plus sign is. That plus sign is actually seeking out that particular color, and it will search for it. So if I click this, it'll actually get rid of all that yellow because that plus marker is right over it. So you want to be careful of what you're aiming at, just like with guns. Okay, so we can do the same thing here. We can actually do this all across her entire perimeter. Now, don't worry that we are cutting into her with all this detail. We actually have another tool that's very handy for filling in those cracks. And I actually prefer doing that when it comes to cutting people out because it gives a little bit. It basically is because I'm lazy. Where is it? There we go. Actually, I actually want to keep the silhouette of that real quick. That's fine right there. This is all good. Now, the only reason why I'll ever want to go back after I've erased something is if it's too much or it's too sharp. Like there's an area of detail that the tool that I'm talking about won't be able to pick up. Her feet, actually anything from right here, her ankle down, I'm not really going to worry about because I have a plan for that. Come on. Yeah, that's too much surface. Actually, here, we'll just do this. When it comes to long pieces like this, I'll just normally just cut out. Yeah, I'll just cut off her foot right there. Delete. Yes, take forever to delete, please. Thank you. That's fine right there. Delete. Something that I should have done was increase the contrast or something if I really wanted to be lazy. But I'm just first degree of laziness right now. It's not too bad. Actually, I really want to get into what the background is going to look like first. So a lot of this, I'll just if it looks good enough. I know I sound lazy, but if it looks good enough, we'll move on because you'll get the gist of this. Like a lot of this has to do with me being very patient and just going along the line of making a good cut and making it stick out. But there you go. That's like the basic gist of it right there. Now, like I said, yeah, I have to show you that actually because it's kind of part of this. This tool right here, the reverse history tool or whatever. Yeah, you just go right over the same photo. Come on, yeah. And then it will bring back some of those elements or all of the elements from that photo. Actually, this one you might want to make a little bit sharper, but yeah. There we go right there. Yeah, I'm going to make this really hard. The harder it is, the more crisp it's going to look, and the more it's going to look like its original form. Yeah, I have to do all this right here, actually. But we're not going to worry too much about it looking one-to-one where it was before, because it's not really going to matter in the end. At least by much. Hopefully it won't. Anything from the knee down we can kind of neglect. Trying to do this, trying to do straight lines by hand is actually pretty hard. But the more you get used to it, the more it becomes like less of a hassle. It's kind of like one of those skills that like it's useful but not really useful. There we go, right there. Bring this one back. All right, so we more or less reconstituted most of the original photo from all these erasing errors by using the reverse tool. Very fun tool, very, very good for a lot of photo composition shots. All right, so obviously we're gonna want to clean this area up right here. So we're just gonna go in with the brush tool, or with the eraser tool, brush tool. Yep, we're gonna add more junk. Let's make this really soft. For those tuning in on the stream, thank you for coming in and watching this tutorial. Yeah, we'll erase that, whatever. Now, getting rid of some of her hair is fine, but not all of it, because you want to keep that effect in to really sell the effect. Oh, that's the wrong tool. I'm a moron. That's fine. All right, so we have her cut out for the most part. Not too bad. Now the next part is, what is that? Actually, I have to show you where I got it to. This one right here. We're gonna look up, was it ribbon or a flag? I forget. Flag on black. Or maybe red flag. Hold on. Now, hopefully you guys are thinking about what this whole process is in a particular. And it's basically trying to use any resource that you can and any tool that you can to get to make the shot work. So, what is this? Is it a flag or a cloth? I forget what I used. Red cloth. This might work. I mean, I already have the asset saved. I don't know what happened. I know where it is. I just don't know where I found it. On black. Now, why I'm looking for a cloth on black is because you can actually cut these out pretty easily. When anything is on black, you can actually see a lot of the detail. Let me just go grab it. I'm being lazy. Yes, I have a whole folder just filled with like assets that I've used, and it's massive. It's unorganized, and I refuse to organize it because every once in a while I'll be editing a photo and I'll see an effect that I think might work, and I'll do it, and normally it works. So it kind of like forces me to look at all these effects. So like it's like if I'm not being creative, at least my folder's forcing me to be creative by saying, "Hey, there's like this effect that you can use. Did you think about that?" And I was like, "Oh, now that I see it." I'm not what is that? I'm not endorsing messiness, but might be something you might want to consider. Wow, where is this thing? What the heck? I have so many things loaded. This thing is taking forever. Come on, I just saw it too. I used it like 2 days ago. Sorry. There's just gonna be like, just skip to the part where I find it. I always do that. Like when somebody's like making something, I'll skip like half of the process because I'm like, I'm not gonna wait that long to show that how you sanded something. I know how you sand something. I want to know like the intricate ways to do it. Wow. Where did it go? Where you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Where you come from? Where you go? Yeah, fuck it. Whatever. It's taking too long. Nah, damn it. I need to show you what it looks like though. I'll show you how. I'll show you one, and then you can like just like whatchamacallit, figure it out from there. Because it's a really easy process. It just has to do with a lot of manipulation of where the lens is and what the focus is. So obviously we're focused on her, and we want to put 2 pieces of cloth in front of her that are flowing in the wind to simulate that, like her simulate movement at least. And a good way to do that is to make your ribbon layer blurry. Ribbon layer blurry. It's right there. I know. Where is it? A ribbon layer blurry, and so it's like out of focus, but it's still there. That's the cool part. Thank goodness we have this relaxing music on, because this already has taken like 3 minutes to just try and find one photo. It's around here. I've seen you. There it is. Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll use this one. I already used this for this one for this photo. It'll be fine. Right there. So basically on black makes it so that there's the really stark contrast between the two layers. We're actually going to re-rasterize this real quick. That's a right click on the layer and just re-rasterize. Select mask. I usually come in a little bit more because this will make it a bit jagged if you feather it. So I'll set smooth to 5-ish. Feather it a little bit. Shift edge all the way. And then press delete. And then there you go. The edges aren't going to be exactly clean, but that doesn't really matter since this is going to be an out of focus shot. Now, the hard part of all this is coming up. Let's just leave it right there. That's good for now. You know what? Here, wait. Let me... Should I do that before? Yeah, I should probably do that now, actually. Okay, hold on. We're going to Liquify Tool this thing, because I like this position where it's at, but it's not like exactly looking that great. So we're going to just put... Oh, yeah, so a rule of thumb. More rules. I don't make the rules, just things that I've done that make the photo more believable, is make the brush when you're liquefying as big as possible, because when you do that, you're not moving a little bit like that, and that makes the stretch really obvious. So if you make it as big as possible, it becomes whatchamacallit, less warped, if that makes sense. I'll put it right there. All right, so the hard part that I find the hardest is doing color matching. So you want to match this guy right here. But the way to do that, I always do this manually. There are other ways to do it, but I always like having a little bit of more control on this thing. Set the saturation down, lightness a little bit down. Almost there, almost got it. That's pretty close. That's too blue. You know, that looks fine. Okay. This is good for what we're going to do anyway. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and just leave that alone for right now. I'm going to find that picture, that Getty thingy. Stop it. What's this? This one right here. This one I just grabbed off of Google Images. Gonna import it. Now, see, look, I always try to make whatchamacallit, try to grab pictures that are big as possible, so that there's less distortion and stuff like that. Because when you enlarge something, all the imperfections get enlarged too, especially with small images. So right now, what I did is I tilted it so that this middle tree is like kind of matched up with her, and the background is level with her feet. So we're just going to increase this as much as we can. Actually, we're going to set the opacity to 42. We're going to put the shine right behind her head, because that's where we're going to want the shine. The shine's going to be right behind her head, like right there, just like our lighting. Remember, we have to match lighting as much as possible. That's what sells the effect, is matching lighting. So right there, that's good. We can actually get rid of this layer 1 and that background now. Then we'll increase this, bam. And then put this right behind her. So far, looking good. Then normally what I do, if there's something missing, you can always add on to it. That's the cool part about Photoshop. Control T, negative right here on the horizontal. Nope, on the vertical. Sorry, what am I doing? Oh, you know what? I'll just do this. Why am I being lazy? The less clicks you do, the less the work it seems. We'll go ahead and match this with the back a little bit. So, right there, that looks pretty good. Oh, there you go. Okay. So normally when there's a cut like that, I'll do this. I will come in with the eraser tool, make this as soft as possible. Sorry, I was going to say hard. Rasterize the layer real quick, and then try to fade it in with the back as much as possible. There you go. That looks pretty good. Now, a problem with this is, that looks fine. You can always hide imperfections behind your subject. We still have that thing in the background, so we'll just, what is that? I'll just go ahead and just take the stamp tool. The stamp tool does really well for hiding imperfections. I love the stamp tool because it gives you like so much options for like making things that weren't there suddenly there. And I think a lot of people like don't use it enough when it comes to their photography. Either that, or they're so good at it that I do not detect it at all, which is fantastic. That's what we shoot for. Now, I'm not going to really worry about the details too much because, like I said, we're kind of like altering this enough so that people won't really see what we've done. Whatever, that's fine there. This is, oh, that's on the other layer. Actually, we're going to smush this layer down. Press Control on both of these. Rasterize, Control E. That makes it one layer. And then right here, and bam. So now that thing's like disappeared, looks pretty good. It's not like perfect. I'm not shooting for perfect right now because she's gonna block it. And on top of that, there's still all this muck up right here. So let me get rid of that real quick. But the reason why we don't really care for the background too much is because we'll do an out of focus blur on it, which solves a lot of the issues with the background being low quality. That's why it's like really hard to find like good photos that everything is in focus and it's a really dynamic shot. But for me, I just like, I made this one photo where this woman is like as tall as the buildings, and it's one of my best photos ever, apparently. And yeah, a lot of it had to do with manipulation of the areas. We got some white leaking right there and right here, but that's fine. Oh yeah, so we gotta go out of focus. So this is the thing that we did. Now you don't want to use the lens blur because the lens blur I actually, well, from what I've been doing, it actually creates a little bit of what is that, white rimming around it. So I always use Gaussian Blur. Gaussian Blur just works just as fine, just as well. Right here, you just want to leave right there. That's 0 pixels. This is like 7 or 8. It leaves a little bit of detail, but not a lot. Actually, I'm gonna darken this up. It leaves a little bit of detail, just enough so that it you can see that it's a piece of cloth. And then oh, forgot to do this. Gonna steal a lot of this right there. I try to dart around a lot when it comes to like big scenes, so that way you're like, it's really random. You don't see the patterning that some cloning that will happen with some cloning. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing back here. Filter, blur. This one you kind of want to make it a little bit more or a little bit less, just enough so that you stop seeing detail, but you can still see that they're obviously trees, so that's fine. Then you have this area right here. Now, when it comes to shadowing, and this is a rule that I always go by, is, what does this look like right here? Huh, that doesn't look too bad. When it comes to shadowing, it's not this. I've seen a lot of people do this, and it annoys the hell out of me like no other. They'll bump that up, hardness, and then I'm gonna put this on the top layer. They'll do this thing right here, and then go in with the opacity and make it darker. That's not how you do shadows at all. Like it, oh, every time I see that, I like, why are you even trying? Like, it's good that you're trying, but you're doing it wrong. And I always try, like, every time I see my friends do their thing, I always try to educate them a little bit more. And I give them pointers. I try to be a dick about it, because if you're not being a dick, then you're being too nice. Let's bump this up all the way. All right, so we're bringing some of that back. Covering that area up. Setting this to overlay. Now, the reason why you set it to overlay is because it's going to take if you do this right here on normal, it's going to cover up some of the highlights. That's not what shadow does. Shadow will only attack the dark spots and not the light spots. So when you set it to overlay, it only attacks the dark spots and not the light spots. And that's the cool part about that that layer style, is that you get a lot of what is that? You get a lot of that definition still, while not muddying up the rest of the photo like I've seen people do. And it's embarrassing. Why are you my friend? You know, we'll just do this. We'll erase parts of her because it's not really going to show up too much. So, but that's a rule. I'm making that a rule right now. If you do shadows, you must set it to overlay. The only reason why you would ever want to set something to normal is if it needs to be true dark or absolute dark. So I'll show you what that is real quick before or during my vignetting. So absolute dark is basically these areas right here. Like if something needs to be absolutely dark. Let's set this overlay. Here, I'll do this. Set that to normal. And then set this overlay a little bit down, 40, and this down to 36. So there, you still get a little bit of definition back, and you could still see most of the foot, which I don't really like. So I usually just do the overlay thing, and on top of that, I'll copy it and do soft light, which is pretty much the same thing. I'll increase both of these so that you can't really see your feet, because she's not really standing there. Everything's out of focus. That actually did me favors. I didn't go back into the recovery tool to take some of that detail back, because like light does count. What the fuck? Whatever. It's JoJo. When light bounces off something, it actually takes the color with it. So right there, if this is the color of that, it actually makes it look like it bounced back into it, and that's the color of like the background, which does you favors, but you can keep it like that or not. I mean, it's really up to you. I didn't for my final one, but that's okay. One more thing I want to add here. Now, this is looking pretty good. I like it. I like this a lot. It's actually really close to what I had on the original, but it's not close enough. What did I do there? Oh, yeah. Forgot to brighten up her eyes. Brighten up the eyes, please. Every time I see somebody who has an underlit face or something like that, it's kind of embarrassing. Like, you had this ability to like make them look better, but you chose not to. So always brighten up the eyes. We're gonna go into the effects. This one I actually labeled as bokeh dust. That's a good thing to have in your. Where is it? Bokeh. Bokeh dust. Here we go. Avengers. I listen to a lot of random stuff when I'm editing, but all right. So here we have bokeh dust. It doesn't really matter that it's we stretched it out, because it's going to be not really out of focus, but it's going to be very insignificant. Always do this when you're stretching out stuff. Link it together unless you have something else unplanned, so that it stays uniform and where it stretches. I'm going to make this the top layer. Set this to either linear dodge add or screen. What screen does, it gets rid of the background and only keeps the highlights. It's kind of opposite of overlay. And multiply is the opposite of screen, where it gets rid of the light and not the dark. But I use that for blood a lot. I'm gonna go levels. Normally I would put this on a on a different layer, adjustment layer, but for right now we'll just leave it like this. So basically what I'm doing, since this is a screen, anything that's light is going to show up more, anything that's dark is going to show up less. So we're going to increase the dark right there. Rasterize this. Now, since the light is hitting on her, not around her, we have to get rid of everything that's here. Actually, I'm going to make this bigger. We have to get rid of everything that's behind her, behind the light, because we want to make it look like that light is hitting those dust particles and not her. So we're going to get rid of anything behind these areas right there, behind her right there, on her face, right there. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire photo. Also, another thing you might want to do is color lookup. Color lookup is actually a really good tool to like really sell something. If you really want a specific cool look, like that's actually really cool. I like that a lot. I always every single photo I have, I always go through the color lookup tool, because it gives you a lot of options on how your photo would look like without doing much. That's a good one. That's a pretty good one too. And yeah, as I'm going through all of these, almost all of these look pretty good. Some of these are too much, so I'll just bring down the opacity a little bit just to counteract that. Go through it again. I actually like that one a lot. Candlelight, that's a good one. This one, see, like this one, I'm not a fan of. Where is it? This one, because Foggy Night is actually more like an opacity, like on what I'm talking about. It faded out all of these. I mean, that's just my style, but it faded out her eye. It faded out all the highlights. It smushed it so that you can't really like it's not bright. So you would have to like set it to like overlay or something like that. But you really don't want to have to end up doing that. Unless you really want to, it's up to you. Like if you're going for like a uniform, like hazy look like this one, that's on you. I know a lot of people do that, but I like my stuff really contrasty. So like things pop out. Because it's a photo and not a Marvel movie. Yeah, but that's basically it. Actually here. Let's do one more since I'm already here. We'll do levels. So there's a layer that you can add on by going to this half circle, coming up to the levels, and I'll make a new layer for you. And then we'll just make this a little bit more punchy. Just a little bit. Make that a little bit brighter. Now there's actually something that I'm missing out on here, but for right now, this will suffice. I should actually be doing this in a different area, but it's fine. All right, so yeah, now you can like set this opacity. If you don't like it too much, it's like a little bit, just dial it in there. Another thing I'm not showing you guys. What did I do differently here? Is where is it? Oh, polka dust. Then turn those on. The glare. That's right. There's a glare that I put in here. Here it is, right there. Now you can get any glare that's on black. Here, I'll show you on Google. Glare on black. Or no, lens flare. Sorry, lens flare. Lens flare and glare, it's the same thing. Whatever. Just get different results. You just need, like, a lot of Google images is learning what to look up and all the different names for it, because there's always a different name for everything. Like tree could be like palm tree, redwood, stuff like that. Yeah, but basically, yeah, I'll probably take. I'm gonna show you real quick. Actually, fuck it, whatever. These are actually. Oh yeah, here, wait. Sorry, gotta make them look large. That's actually not bad, but not big enough. I'll take this one. This is fine. If it would just save quick enough. Save, goddammit. Desktop. Okay, cool. All right. Usually I'll just take it from here and like, ooh, look, I have it. Take it over to Photoshop. Drop it. That's the wrong one. Let's do that again. Take it. Grab it. drop it, and then increase it using the uniform right there. And then I'm pretty sure you see what we're gonna do. We're just gonna put it right behind her. Put that right there. Put it right behind her head. Now, since we had diluted the previous shot, like the rays coming from that shot, we have to introduce more of it. And the way we do that, clean that up real quick. Screen. And yeah, what screen does is screen will introduce anything that's light, get rid of the dark. I think I already explained that one time. And yeah, that's basically it. This actually isn't that good. Like, it's stretched out. I can actually see all the artifacts in there. Look at those little diamonds. I mean, you can solve that by doing a Gaussian blur on it, but that defeats the purpose of even trying to what is that? Glare up, I guess. If you really want to, you can come back into what is that? The background eraser tool right here, and just get rid of all of it. Nope, we don't want that. Just use a dodge tool. If some things are like too bright or whatnot, then dodge tool it. Now, if I really wanted to, we would go into like really deep detail onto this, because I can see a lot of vignetting on this. Like, the vignetting is when a camera lens is has too much aberration, I think. Aberration? And it introduces a little bit of light fringe onto the subject. But that's basically it. Put your watermark on it or whatever. So again, going over the rules one more time is matching lighting. Matching lighting, since she had this. Since she had the light behind her, we had to put a light behind her. So matching lighting right there. Putting things out of focus so that if your thing is too low quality, you can cheese that real quick. Putting things in the foreground, blurring that up, putting the liquid tool, using the biggest brushes, as always using the biggest brush as possible. And yeah, that's basically it. Just remember that you always have this history brush and the background eraser tool. Background eraser tool is actually really tricky, but you guys can watch like tutorials on that on YouTube or whatnot. But that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll post this up for everybody on my Instagram to take a gander at, because I know some of them have questions on how I do my shit. This is basically how I do my shit. All right. Bye.